Renfrew-Nipissing-Pembroke. I welcome this opportunity to put the observations my constituents share with their MP on the public record. I'm their servant. While this bill may have many parts, I intend to focus on the sections relevant to Canadians. With Liberal inflation, tax cuts are non-existent. With Liberal inflation, house prices will keep on rising. This will fuel more Liberal inflation, which in turn raises house prices even higher. It's a vicious circle. What started this cycle? This cycle was started by huge deficits commencing back in 2015 after the federal election. Conservatives don't blame COVID-19 pandemic mitigation measures, which we supported. The Prime Minister's inflationary deficits have been a signature policy of this government long before COVID-19 hit. In fact, billions and billions of the deficit dollars are being spent on things unrelated to the pandemic. In the case of defense spending, the Parliamentary Budget Officer has identified billions in borrowing that are unaccounted for. Taxpayers' dollars are being poured down a black hole, but this socialist government refuses to tell Canadians what that spending is for. Canadians have a right to know how their tax dollars are being spent. When the NDP Liberal Socialist Alliance inflates the monetary base, they're effectively devaluating the spending power of the money people have. By devaluating that spending power, they're actually hurting the people who have to spend that money on basic goods. The only way to get ahead of the inflationary spiral is to quit printing money. By continually printing money, which is called running a deficit, our currency is debased. This leads to greater deficits and more Liberal inflation. This in turn makes everything more unaffordable. Canadians who contact me are fearful about any Liberal plan to implement electronic or e-currency. They have no confidence in the money they earn, and the money we'll save will keep its value. Constituents have read about negative interest rates, the seizure of bank accounts, and social credit scores that Communist China keeps on its citizens, and they don't like what they hear. Accounts can be seized with the stroke of a keyboard. Just ask any Freedom Convoy supporter. Canadians who contact me tell me how divisive to society the socialist policies are. Since 2015, the gap between the rich and the poor in Canada has actually widened. Nowhere has this policy failure been more evident than in the rise in cost of a single-family home. This is a big problem. Unaffordable housing prices are a direct result of the NDP Liberal Socialist Coalition's monetary policy. Blaming the Russians, Chinese, new immigrants, unseen foreigners, or whoever else the Socialist Coalition wants to reserve this week's 2 minutes of hate for is divisive, hateful, and just another diversionary tactic to draw attention away from the real problems Canadians face. Young Canadians who call me simply expect a fair chance. They'd like to believe Canada is a country in which hard work and savings are realistic paths to home ownership. Young people in Renfrew-Nipissing-Pembroke want affordable housing where they can raise families while not losing more than half their paychecks each month to put a roof over their heads. Seniors want to grow old living in their own homes. And this is not an unrealistic ask in a functioning democracy and a free market society. The Socialist Coalition wants to move away from this successful model. Since this government has come to power, or shortly thereafter, 6 years ago, the average price of a family home in Canada has shot up 87%. In 2016, the average price of a new house was $476,000. It's now $811,000, according to the Canadian Real Estate Association. The coalition response? Another tax. Starting in the 2022 calendar year, Bill C-8 will charge a 1% federal surtax on passively held non-resident owners of real estate in Canada. That means even Canadians who own a home but live abroad for work are going to pay an extra 1% annually on the value of their home back here. It's like a municipal tax for those people who own property on their single-family home, only the money goes to the feds. I'm still waiting for a credible explanation on how this will create more affordable housing. The proposal is troubling in other ways. Taxing properties is municipal jurisdiction. Municipalities in my riding of Renfrew-Nipissing-Pembroke are having serious financial difficulties. Now this federal government wants to pick their pockets. Interfering in property tax is a serious mistake. It sets a dangerous precedent of interference from the federal government. Municipalities in Renfrew-Nipissing-Pembroke and the county charge a range of development fees. In our prior development charges for a single and semi-detached dwelling runs around $16,000. In Renfrew, it's $9,000. Petawawa development charges are over $6,000. In Cobden, the cost is roughly $5,800 and under $4,000 in Pembroke. 6 municipalities in Renfrew County do not charge development fees, including Edmundston Bromley, Bonnechere Valley, Laurentian Hills, North Algona Wilberforce, Killaloe, Haggerty, and Richards, and the Township of Head and Mariah. In a recent presentation to County Council, which is looking for an increase in development charges, fees in the rest of Ontario were examined. Some counties across Ontario charge almost $25,000 in development fees for a single detached or semi-detached dwelling. Others, such as my neighbor to the south, Lanark County, charge the lower end of the scale at roughly $1,500 for the development charges on a new residential home. The federal government needs to be working in cooperation with municipalities to help them decrease development fees. Only by increasing the housing supply will prices stabilize. And residents in Renfrew-Nipissing-Pembroke are very concerned about the planned home equity tax. And that is another idea that undermines the municipal property tax base. With record sales, high prices for real estate, and a recent disclosure about CMHC funding studies to look at ways to raise revenues by taxing principal residences, Canadians have every right to be skeptical when half-hearted denials are made by the federal government. Canadians will have to wait and see when a new federal home equity tax, currently under consideration, will be implemented.
It being 5:30, the House will now proceed to the consideration of private members' business as listed on